When you're ready to begin a new structural design for your business, I actually don't want you to think about structure at all. Instead, I want you to think about customers, products, and employees. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to do that and why thinking horizontally rather than vertically can lead to breakthroughs in business performance. There's two types of thinking we're going to deploy when designing your new structure: vertical thinking and horizontal thinking. Here's the difference. Vertical thinking works like this. Let's say that I have a problem in my sales team. Well, to use vertical thinking, I'm going to go up and down the sales stack, right? I'm going to look at my head of sales. Are they the right leader? I'm going to look at the team structure within sales, the incentive plan, and that kind of thing. That's all necessary thinking. I just want you to notice that it's very vertical. Horizontal, on the other hand, goes across the organization. So if I have a problem in my sales unit, I'm going to look at the front of the funnel. How's my lead generation? Are we targeting the right customers? I'm going to look at my sales process, but then I'm also going to work across. How is our onboarding process, our customer success process? How about our product development and product management process? What about our business strategy and brand marketing? Right? All of these things contribute to successful sales or not. That's horizontal thinking. So why is it so important to begin your structural design with horizontal thinking? The answer is that there are three key horizontal processes that your new structure must enable. They're the customer cycle, the product cycle, and the employee cycle. I'm going to give you an example of each one to get you started thinking horizontally so that you can design the right new structure for your business. On my screen is a picture of an example customer cycle. This comes from my book, Design to Scale, and it shows the customer journey, the ideal customer journey for a fictional, not so fictional company called People Power. And that word ideal is really important here. When you're mapping out your customer cycle, you're not mapping out what is. Instead, you want to map the ideal or what should be happening, right? The spirit of this exercise is to map out the ideal customer flow to answer the question, how should we best identify, engage, sell, retain, support, and develop new and existing customers? Now, notice this isn't pretty, shouldn't be pretty. Notice that it's not an overwhelming level of detail, right? I'm not mapping out the sub-cycles. All I'm doing is mapping out the key steps in the journey of how this company must identify, sell, develop, retain, etc. its customers. And you just map out the key steps. I'm not going to review them here, but if you want to, you can certainly hit pause. Once you do that, then you can go back and map the roles that are accountable for each step in that journey. So for example, here, the step of lead generation, the accountability there goes to the role or the function called demand generation. Now, it's really interesting to me when you do this exercise with a cross-functional team. I'm always shocked at the level of insight that's generated by just doing this simple mapping of the customer journey. And I think it's happening for a couple of reasons. One is that each person on that team is kind of focused on their own area, right? Sales is focused on selling, operations is focused on operations. And they're kind of seeing the same issues, but they're coming at it from their own vantage point, and they might even be using different terminology to describe the same problem. So if you can get a cross-functional team together to do this exercise on a whiteboard, you'll get a lot of insight. A lot of shared consciousness is built up across that team about, hey, we've been saying the same thing, but we've been attacking the problem in different ways. How do we come together to enact this ideal customer journey? And again, your new structure must enable you to identify, sell, develop, and retain customers better and faster than your current structure, or it's not the right structure. Once you've done the customer journey, then you can do the product cycle or the product journey. It's the same concept. You're going to take on a page what should happen in an ideal product development journey. You're trying to answer the question, should we best identify, design, develop, deploy the right new products and simultaneously grow, maintain, or end existing ones? And you're going to map out all the key steps in that journey. Once you've done that, then you can identify the roles or functions that are accountable for each step in the journey. This is important. I don't want you to try to map the key steps in the product cycle or the customer cycle, and simultaneously map in the functions or roles accountable for each step. If you try to do that together, you'll get bogged down, right? There'll be too much debate about what role really owns market analysis. In another video, I showed you a tool called the structure map, and you really want to use that tool, the structure map, to identify and call out which role or which function is accountable for each step in the journey. Summarize that. First, map the key steps in the product cycle. Then you can come back, use the structure map to identify the roles or functions that are accountable for each step in that journey. Another key process cycle to map is the employee cycle. So this is trying to answer the question, how should we best identify, engage, hire, retain, support, develop, and discharge our employees, that includes contractors, so that we have an engaged and high-performing workforce. Just like the other cycles, you're going to map out the key steps in that journey, what should be happening, and then you can align in using the structure map tool, the functions or roles that are accountable for each step in that journey. So this is why it's so important to think horizontally first when designing your new structure. You want to think through your customer journey, the product journey, the employee journey, and then identify the roles or functions that are accountable for each step, because if the new structure isn't making it better, faster, and easier for you to engage with better customers and more customers, to design, develop, and deploy the right new products, and to engage with and retain and develop and support the right workforce, then it's not the right structure. When you begin your structural process, first think horizontally, then later you can think vertically. Thanks for your time.